guys, and it is November 2nd, so October's over, and I'm going to share an entire recap of how that went for sales and all kinds of things. It was a crazy month, honestly. It was the weirdest one I've had yet. I did not keep track of how many items I listed because for a big part of the month I was taking down what I had and relisting them, and if an item for me already has an item number, I don't put a new one on there, and I also don't rewrite it in my little book here that I use for all the stats and stuff. So I'm not sure how many I listed. I know it was a lot. I was starting with my 2 a day, but then I would jump up to 3 to try to, you know, to get more on there. And then these last, like, Halloween, no, like the 30th to the 1st, I think, I didn't list anything because we had family stuff going on and it wasn't possible. Sales, my best month, I've had 9 sales, which I know for some people that's how many I make in a day, or even maybe in an hour, which, I mean, that's awesome for you and everything, and I'm really happy for you. But a 9, that's good for me. But every month I've noticed that I've gotten like a couple more sales than the month before, so that's always good. So what did sell? We had the Adopt Me pets, the little fox kitsune, I think. It came with a virtual code. It was brand new with tags and everything. So that was my first one, and it sold October 3rd. So we're doing pretty good, being in the month, not bad. Here's where the crazy stuff happened. October 4th, within an hour of each other, give or take an hour of each other, I had 2 sales. Now this isn't the first time I had back-to-back sales. I had a different video where I did that, but it's been the first time in a while that's happened. The first one was a lot of books, Emily Henry books. There was Beach Read and Book Lovers, and I put those 2 together, and it sold for like $8 for the 2 because they haven't really been going for much, honestly. I've had those books on there for a while. I had them both individually up there since August, so I'm like, you know what, let's go ahead and lock them up together and see how that goes. I found that I do actually like putting lots together instead of so many individual things. I think that way, plus things go together, you get rid of more stuff, and yeah. That was an order where I had to actually contact the customer, the buyer. There was an issue with delivery, so, you know, I haven't had to like actually contact the buyer in a long time since my partial refund back in July, so I was really actually kind of nervous, but it all went well and they were super nice and everything. And that order that hit like an hour later was a Digiroot stylist, and it sold for $7 plus shipping. That's one of my early ones, guys. According to my item numbers, that was number 7 listing. So that was really fun to go ahead and get out. Okay, and then next something else really big happened, and this actually was October 5th. And October 5th, the next day, I also had back-to-back orders, which was amazing. So I had 4 orders within like 24 hours of each other, which has never happened, and I loved it so much. This one actually was my first sale where I initiated an offer and the buyer accepted. But it was this Seraphim Classics Heaven on Earth Finishing Touch figure, for I offered $21. I originally had it priced at $25, so, you know, 21 wasn't, it was still good. And that had been up there since September, so not too long. I was actually surprised that it sold because there were a lot of them up there, and I'm like, oh, this one's going to sit for a while, but I was glad it sold. Then that same day, later that afternoon, Seen It Disney Channel Edition game went out, and that's also my first Frankenbox I made, so that was really awesome. I actually did a video of it on here if you want to check that link out. I didn't actually do the video of me like putting it together, but I showed you it's together, and like basically I unassembled it and then reassembled it. So the first week of October was amazing, and then a dry spell hit. And I'm talking just, you know, like, well, I didn't sell for a few days. It was over a week. No sales, nothing. And I was getting really nervous and like, well, you know, what am I doing wrong? Is there something like, and I hadn't changed anything. I was still listing the same amount, and I wasn't doing anything drastic, you know. So I went to my reselling group on Facebook, and they said that, you know, eBay had an update, which I'm not sure exactly 100% sure what that means, but they updated, and apparently every time they do that, things go haywire and there's no sales. I am sad that other people were like also suffering sale-wise, but I am glad to know it wasn't just me. I was looking up different ways to kind of pick sales up, which may have helped later on, I don't know, but one of them I did was to increase your promoted listings, and I had them all at 2%, and a lady I watched said, you know, maybe increase them just a little bit. So I went through and I popped them up to like 4%, 3%, and she also said to actually, I've heard this from a few different people. End some listings and sell similar, and like go back and like change prices or change the title, and that will help sometimes. The next sale I had was October 16th, so like we're talking a whole week later, and that was a Mr. Potato Head lots with like 68 pieces and a head. That was one of those that I ended relisted, or no, that I ended sold a similar. Always sell a similar, don't just relist, sell a similar, because it shows up as a brand new listing. And I want to say it was one that I increased the promoted listing to like 4 or 5%, I don't know. When it comes to promoted listings, there's really no right or wrong answer. It's all about what works for you with your budget and what you feel comfortable doing. You are giving eBay more money to get your listings up front and in front of the customer. So I mean, you gotta weigh the balances and see what fits you. Honestly, I'll go through this here in a little bit, comparing my promoted sales to not promoted, and because there is a huge difference, but it's all about what works for you. Okay, and then the next thing I sold, which was on October 18th, but just a couple days later, and I was excited to sell this. It was a vintage 1999 Westinghouse Carousel Collection Spinning Fish Ocean Design Lamp. This was a Goodwill find. I ended up losing some money on that sale actually, because the box I had picked out, I don't know what I was thinking. The box I had picked out, one that I reused from somewhere I got, and it wasn't in the best conditions, but I'm like, you know, it'll work, it'll fit, because I didn't want to use a giant box for expense because it'd be super expensive. So I used that, and then I had those dimensions in. It sold, and I was like, yes. So I was getting that box out, I was looking at it, and I was going to tape the edges to kind of like give it some stability, you know, because it wasn't in good shape. So I did that, and then the item didn't fit in there, and it's like, okay, that's not good, because like if I would have tried to fit it in there, I couldn't have put any packing around the sides, and it's like, I really don't want to risk that. I would rather pay extra to use a little bit bigger box and know that my item's going to get there safe and sound. But I had a bigger box and I popped it in there, and I felt much better about the wrapping and everything, about the condition. I did have to pay a few bucks extra for shipping, but it was worth it because, you know, it got there. Actually, it was delivered October 21st, and I haven't heard anything back, and today is this November 2nd, so I'm going to assume it's good. And then the next day, October 19th, I sold, this was my second seller initiated sale. It was for a Revel 125, it was for a 2015 Ford Mustang GT model car kit. I've had this one up here forever. Originally, I had it up there for like $16, I think. Actually, originally I had it for like $20. And then when I was going back and checking my listings and comparing prices, I was priced way too high. Like everyone's like 15, 12, maybe like 10 bucks, and I'm over here like $20 here, and it's like, yeah, that needs to change. I think that's really important. You have to like occasionally look at what people are pricing it at, comparing, because just because you think, well, you know, this could go for this, if you're the highest price out there, you're not gonna get the sale. Which makes perfect sense, because put yourself in the buyer's shoes, because if it's all the same item, and this one's priced like 10 bucks higher and this is like cheap, it's like, I'm not gonna buy that one, I'm gonna buy this one. So I think that's important. It's easy to forget because you're in the seller's perspective and you're thinking, well, I put this much money out for it and packing was this much and it's valued this much or whatever. But like that DigiRoot thing, it's a stylus, which I thought, you know, $15, $14. No, $7. They weren't going for next to anything. So even though I thought it was, you have to actually go like what people are buying it at. And this item, I also ended up losing a little bit of money, two in a row, because, which was really frustrating. This is one of those I ended and I sold a similar. I didn't check the dimensions, and I had it only weighed as a pound, and I should have put at least a £1.6 or £1.5. I didn't get to put next to any wrapping in there. I didn't even get to put my thank you note in there. So let's say it's like 10 pounds and you need to actually have 10 pounds and 1 ounce, or like 2 ounces. If you go up 1 ounce, it's like $3 extra. And if the buyer didn't pay for that extra, then it's coming out of your pocket. So I did end up, it wasn't 10 pounds of course, but like, so I did have to go over a little bit, and I gave myself more room for wiggle. But you know, it's still a sale, lesson learned. And then the last sale I had, so as you can see, these have been sporadic at the end of October. This was October 24th. So yeah, it tells you I've been like a week without a sale again. October 24th, and it was this willow tree, the quilts figure. Something important to remember on this. So as you can see on here, it says no box in caps, and in the description it says no box. But because it says box in the title, it automatically put box in the seller details here, and it says boxed twice actually. And so I saw that after it sold and all that, and I'm like, oh man, you know, did I put boxed in there somehow? Which I found out later that in my seller group, I found out I didn't put it in there. It just, whenever there's box in the title, it put it in there, which is annoying. So I'll have to double check that from now on. So I was gonna let it go because I figured, well, it says no box clearly, you know? But then I was like, you know, what if it gets there and they're expecting it in a box and it's not in a box? Like, I'm talking the original box. And so I was on the fence about it, and I reached out to my group, and they're like, I got kind of half and half, like, don't bother with it. No one ever reads past the title, honestly, which is kind of scary because if I'm buying, which I did buy once on eBay, I would look all at the description and the condition and everything. But then some others were like, you know, it doesn't hurt to reach out just to touch base and confirm that, you know, it's not in its original box. And so at the end, I did feel better, you know, because, and if you think about it, it's better to go ahead and just confirm things before it's even shipped out, instead of it getting there and then you have to open a return and go through that hassle. And yeah, so I reached out, confirming it, and they're like, yep, that's good. And it's like, yes, sweet. And that was my last sale. So yeah, I got back to listing yesterday. I did my usual too. So I'm hoping, I haven't sourced in a couple weeks either, so all my stuff's kind of old. It's been on there a while. So those are the sales, and I didn't have any returns. I didn't have any partial refunds, which is awesome. We want to avoid those things. And my highest amount of sales had 9 this month. I'm hoping that November is amazing. So far not, but it's only the 2nd. So I'm optimistic, and yeah. So I mentioned earlier about the promoted versus not promoted, and I want to show you how that looks on my computer. Okay, so it's been a while since we've had this on here. So yeah. Oh yeah, and I got some more feedbacks, which is awesome. Love it, love it. So I want to show you the sales and like promoted to non-promoted. Okay. And I've mostly been selling collectibles. And this, I think it goes by last 31 days. So that's fun. They break it down to like what actually you're selling. So this is interesting. These are all my sales from October 3rd, which was October. As you can see, that was that week that nothing happened. Then I had a little bit, then nothing. Promoted. Okay. This color right here is promoted. So this was promoted, this second one up here is promoted, and all these were promoted listings. The ones that were not promoted was just this one. So yeah. And then best offer. I didn't have any best offer sales. Seller initiated, where I did it, was this one here and this one, and the rest I didn't have any offers. But so for me personally, promoted listings is like, I want to say like 90% or probably more, almost 100% of what I sold. So I mean, for me, they're worth it, I think. But oh, here it breaks down even more. See, these were sold. All of them were both promoted except for one. And I initiated these 2 sales. So I think that's really interesting breakdown just to look and see. So I personally like promoted listings. So that's where I am right now. Still learning, still trying to figure how this thing works because it's crazy. And honestly, some days there seems to be no rhyme or reason about the workings of eBay, so I don't know. So my family has a storage unit, and recently, like a few days ago, I finally decided to take all my boxes to the storage unit, or the shed as we call it. And honestly, I don't like having them not here with me because like I can't get them like at a moment's notice. I mean, the shed's like not far at all from where we live. But the point is they're not here, you know, and plus, I don't know. So, but all my big boxes are over there. I still have like the poly bags and the mailers here in tubs, which is nice to have those little ones here. And the small boxes, like the 6x6x6. But yeah, the big ones, they're not with us anymore. So it's kind of unnerving a little bit. But it gives me more room because this room was getting way too crowded. And so November goals. 9 sales has been my most. I want to get 10 sales this month. I would like to. We'll see what actually happens. But basically I want to keep improving and I want to get more stuff listed. Sell some back stock, honestly. Like, I hope the 4th quarter sales really hit in October listing, and I need to get back to sourcing. I haven't sourced in a few weeks. Next video will go out will be November 17th. I'm going to order boxes. Actually, I'm probably going to order them before that, but I'll film it all. And I want to show you how to order free boxes from the post office. So that'll be fun and I hope very informative. So until then, take care. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful November. So until next time.